A person can hear without receiving and can even listen without integrating. The ears function, but the will filters. What is being expressed here is not so much a failure of information, but a failure of readiness. Itchy ears. We heard of that. Some heard of that before, I should say, from a Christian or biblical expression, scripture or what have you. It is a pretty good phrase because it speaks to a selective appetite. People don't listen for truth, they listen for confirmation. Then there is a term in a particular field called confirmation bias. And people look for confirmation, and sometimes they can be very delusional with that. So, whoever they are, will gravitate toward what soothes, excites, and justifies or familiarizes, even when the familiar is destructive. The mind often prefers what it knows over what will heal it. There are a few layers of this dynamics that is at work here. One, familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Growth demands responsibility, change, and loss of old identity. Harmful patterns, even destructive ones, provide predictability. The nervous system recognizes them, so people return to what hurts because it feels known. Two, desire overrides discernment. What the eyes gaze upon stimulates longing. When desire is untrained, it becomes a compass. People don't follow wisdom, they follow stimulation. Truth that doesn't immediately gratify is dismissed, no matter how accurate it is. Three, hearing without sustainability. Some people receive insight momentarily but lack the capacity to sustain it. Truth requires maintenance, reflection, discipline, and patience. Without those, insight becomes a passing sound rather than a lived transformation. 4, to true identity protection. To truly listen would mean admitting what I've been doing isn't working. For many, that threatens ego, pride, or survival strategies that built over years. So they hear just enough to feel informed, but not enough to change. Just has not taken root. From Common Humanity Mission Inc. perspective, this isn't moral failure. It is a social learning disability. People were trained to survive rather than thrive. Trained to survive rather than thrive. We have to move from surviving to thriving. But yet there must be a need for self-correct. Those that are conditioned react, not to reflect. And this is the difficult truth. You cannot awaken someone if that person, does not want to be awakened, who is more committed to familiarity rather than freedom, if I may use that language. Positive talk doesn't fail because it lacks truth. It fails when it arrives before readiness, before they are ready. That's why wisdom often sounds offensive, boring, or irrelevant to those not yet prepared to hear it. This observation, I've concluded, is a very sober one. And it explains why healing, leadership, and consciousness cannot be forced, only invited. And yes, only invited and molded or modeled. Yes, modeled into a mold. You think about this. Until next time, Common Humanity Mission, Inc. Promoters of the value of self-worth. The mandate is cultivate the potential of knowledge that is in us all. And the motto is to communicate with precision through 5.5 channels: understanding, tolerance, temperance / temperament, confidence, and respect.